This lesson is to review first area of a trapezoid. If you remember that algorithm, it's the base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. And remember what a trapezoid looks like. This is a quadrilateral that only has one pair of parallel sides, the top and the bottom. Kind of looks like a triangle with the top cut off. And then I want to go from there to reviewing some linear expressions that can be simplified by combining like terms. So let's start out with taking a look at some of these trapezoids. And I'm going to make the screen a little bit bigger so you can see these. Can you see number 2 there?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to have like a pen or a pencil and some paper so that you can follow along with some of these. But this first one, if we apply that algorithm, it's base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Some teachers say to multiply it by 1/2, but that's the same as dividing by 2. So one of the things you have to be careful with this is on the bottom of your trapezoid if they have more than one measurement. So for this one, you've got a 3, a 7, and a 5. So you have to add all of those together just to get base 1. So if I did 3 plus 7, I'd get 10 plus 15. Then I have to add that to base 2, the top. So you're really doing 15 plus 7 times the height, which is 6. And then you're taking all of that and dividing it by 2. So if I did 15 plus 7, I would get 22. 22 times 6 is 132. So then I've got 132 divided by 2, which equals 66. For number 2 here, your entire area would be 66. Let's look at number 3. This one's a little bit easier because you just have this one measurement, 19, going all the way across. So the first step is to add your top and your bottom. So that's 9 plus 19. And then you have to multiply it by the height. That's 12 times 12. And then divide it by 2. So if I did 9 plus 19, I'd get 28. So I have 28 times 12. And then I want half of that. So let's see what that is. 28 times 12. I've got 336 divided by 2 is 168. I'm going to say 168 is my answer for the area of that trapezoid. Let's look at number 4. Number 4 is a little tricky because it just gives you 6 for over here. And then they're hoping that you can see that this distance right here is 11 because the top is 11.
Hey,
so I'm going to put 11 down here. And I've got someone who has a question. Let me go back to our screen together. Yeah, hi, Zakia. How are you?
Good. Do you want us to draw the trapezoids?
You can, or you can just write the algorithm, the top plus the bottom times the height divided by 2. But if you want to actually draw them, if that helps, you can do that too. You certainly don't have to. I just want you to remember how to find the area. But if you'd rather just write down the numbers, that's okay. I'm just using a calculator on my phone to do some of these. You might also notice, I don't know if you can see this on present mode, but you've got a calculator on your Chromebook too. Can you see mine that I just popped up?
Where's
Yes.
that?
On your accessories, you have a calculator. But that could help too. But no, you don't have to draw. You don't have to draw all the trapezoids. That's okay. All right, let's go back and take a look at number 4. So if the top is 11, then the bottom right here from here to here is 11. So the first thing I do is 6 plus 11, that's base 1, is really 17. So I have 17 plus the top times the height. Now, to see how the height isn't labeled here, we want to see if you can notice that this is 8, then the height over here also is 8. So I'm going to do times the height, that's times 8. And then I'm going to do this divided by 2. So I know 17 plus 11 is 28. So I'm going to simplify that to 28 times 8. And then I want half of that. So 28 times 8 should equal 224. Divided by 2, I got 112 for the whole area of that. So this would simplify to 112. Now, if you look down here, it says match the trapezoid with the equation to find the height. This one says 5 plus 13. So that's the top plus the bottom. But this one, the bottom is 8. So this can't be A. Let's look at this one over here. 5 plus 13. 5 plus 8. That's 13. I think that A would go with number 6 right here. I think this is A. Let's look at this one. This one says 8 plus 13. Which one has an 8 and a 13? This has an 8, but not a 13. This one has an 8 and a 13. So I think this one would probably be B. And then this one is 5 plus 8. And if you look over here at number 5, here's 5 and 8. And I'm multiplying that by the height. And then they have times 1/2. Remember, that's the same as divided by 2, which I think is easier. So this one right here is C. And here's just a few more examples. And I'll let you do some of them on your own. Okay, so if we use our algorithm, the top plus the bottom, base 1 plus base 2, would mean 11 plus 15 times the height, which is 7. And then you can multiply that by 1/2 or just divide it by 2. So 11 plus 15 is going to be 26 times 7, which equals 182. So this is going to be 182 divided by 2, which equals 91 for this one. Now, if you wanted to be technical, you would label these 91 units squared because it's area, so everything is in squared units. So for number 9, you have this plus this, 6 plus 10 times the height, which is 8, divided by 2. So I know 6 plus 10 is 16, times 8 equals 128. So this would simplify to 128, 120. Yeah, let me use my eraser. Do I have an eraser on this? I think I do. Maybe not.
Look.
Try that again.
Shut up.
Hey, look, it works. Okay, so 128 divided by 2, which equals 64. So this would be 64 units squared. Let's try number 10 together. I have 7 plus 24 times the height, 16, divided by 2. So 7 plus 24 is 31, times 16 is 496 divided by 2, which is going to equal 248 for this one. Okay, so at this time, I'm just going to go back to you guys and have you take 2 or 3 minutes and look at those next few questions on your own. And during this time, you can ask me any questions, and then I'll come back and go over them with you. Okay, so let's go back to our questions, and let's look at 11, 12, and 13. These are a little harder. You're going to want to use your calculator because some of them have decimals. Notice this is 6.2. 4.4. Be careful on number 13 because the base, you have to add all 3 of these, and then the top would just be 14. Okay? So you guys take a couple minutes. I'll be right here and try some of those on your own.
Shoot.
Shut up.
Okay, hopefully I gave you a chance to look at a couple of them. For number 11, you wanted to do 13 plus 19. And then I hope that you saw that 14 is really the height. You multiply it times 14, and then you divide by 2. Let's simplify that. We know 13 plus 19 is going to be 20, 32. So I'm going to have 32 times 14 divided by 2. So let's figure out what that is. 32 times 14. I got 448 divided by 2. And that's going to equal 224. So if you got 224 for number 11, you're on to the right track.
I'm confused.
Number 12, this is a little bit harder because you've got decimals. So for this one, you want to do 6.2 plus 4.4 times 4.6, and then divide all of that by 2. Let's find out what that is. 6.2 plus 4.4 is going to be 10.6. Then I'm going to multiply that by 4.6. I'm going to get 48.76. And then you want to divide all of that by 2, which would equal 24.38. And that's your answer for number 12. Because they don't label the top, and the bottom is the sum of all 3 of these measurements. You really have to do 8 plus 14 is going to be 62, plus 8 is going to be 30. So you're going to have 30 plus the top. So if this is 14 down here, then they want you to surmise that this is also 14 up here. So 30 plus 14, then you multiply it by the height, which is 15, and then divide the whole thing by 2. So 30 plus 14 is going to be 44 times 15 divided by 2. Let's find out what that is. 44 times 15, I got 660. And then we want half of that, which is going to equal 330. If you got 330 for number 13, you're on the right track. Okay, let's go back to you guys. How are you guys doing with that? Any questions so far? We're doing okay?
The first one that we did together, it still doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, which one?
So the one that was 13, 14, and 19, and we got
13 and 19?
Yeah, 224. Instead, I got 216.
Okay. Let's go back and look at that. So we had 13 this part, and we added it with the base, which is 19. So hopefully when you did 13 plus 19, you got 32. Did you get 32 for that, Zakia?
I did that one. No, I did.
Okay, and then you just take 32 times 14, and you'd get 448. And then you just divide that by 2. So this is step 1 over here. This would be step 2. This is step 3. And then finally, this is your answer. Okay. So it takes a few steps to solve some of these. Let's do a couple more. Some of these are sort of tricky. Over here, for number 18, they just have some of your height or your base illustrated at the top. So it says if the area is 135 or if the area is 32. This is where they just have you working backwards. Instead of multiplying it by the height, you divide it to find out, you know, what the area is. If you look down here, they have some composite shapes that are interesting. I want to look down here at number 29, 30, and 31. This is interesting because you have to combine some of the bottom measurements to figure out what's missing. So on number 29, you can see they give you the top is 28. So that means that this portion from here to here is 28. But to solve the entire base, you'd have to add 28 plus 24. So this algorithm would look like this: 28 plus 24 plus the height is another 28 times the height. And then you'd have to figure out what the height is using the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You take 24 squared plus 40 squared, and then find the square root of that to find the height, which is a little bit beyond you guys, and I don't think I want to go that far with you. Let's look at one that gives you the height without using the Pythagorean theorem. This one's very reasonable. Let's take a look at this one. So for this, we do 8 plus 13 times the height, and we divide that by 2. It's a pretty simple one. So 8 plus 13 is going to simply equal 21 times 4, and then you find half of that. So 21 times 4 is going to equal 84. And then you're just going to divide that by 2, and you're going to get 42. So this would simplify to 42, and then you can see that would be choice B. Okay? Okay, I just want to take a minute and shift right now and talk to you guys a little bit about simplifying linear equations that have like terms. Remember, a like term is where you have the same variable and you also have the same exponent. And when you look at instructions and it says simplify this equation, you're always looking for like terms. So I'm going to give you some examples of that. Again, make sure you have like a pencil, some paper, write these down. I'm going to do several of them with you. You can try some on your own, but these are kind of fun. Some of them are going to use the distributive formula where you multiply from the outside inside. But all of them are going to have numbers that have the same variable that you can put together by adding or by subtracting. So let's take a minute and look at some of those together. Right, yeah. And you guys see this first one. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Can you guys see number 1?
Yes.
Yes.
It says negative 5. Okay, this one, there's nothing to distribute. You're not multiplying anything. They just want to see, can you see what goes together? So this one has a y, and this one has a y. So those are like terms. So if I did negative 4 plus negative 9, you're going to get negative 13y. In the same sense, this negative 1 over here, it has no variable. This negative 2 has no variable. So these two terms go together. So negative 1 plus negative 2 is equal to negative 3. And that's simplified. That's as far as you can go with that. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Same sense. Number 2, there's nothing to multiply. You're just looking for what matches. So the 2 goes with the negative 8 because these two numbers don't have a variable. The 6h goes with the negative 7h because they have the same variable h. So again, if I simplify this, I'm just doing 6 plus negative 7 is negative 1h. So that's those two. Then if I simplify 2 plus negative 8, I'm going to get negative 6. And again, you can't simplify it any more than that because now these don't have like terms. The 6 doesn't have an h. So I can't do anything else with that. And that's a simplified equation for number 2. Here's number 3. This has an s, so it goes with this number that also has an s. This has no variable, so it goes with other numbers that don't have a variable. So if I had negative 4 plus 4, I get 0. These completely cancel each other out. You're not going to write 1s, you're not going to write anything there. You're just going to simplify this by doing 9 plus or minus 6 is simply 3. And that's your answer for that one. Here's number 4. I've got an S here. That goes with this term over here that has an S. The negative 6 over here, which goes with this 4 over here because they don't have a variable. So S if there's no number in front of a variable, there's always like an imaginary 1 right there. This is like saying 9 plus 8 is 9s. And this is like saying -6 plus 4 is -2. That's the for that one. Okay, I'm going to scroll down here and let you guys do these 5 through 8. Just take a minute or two and try to simplify these. And again, if you have any questions during this time, just speak up. I'm listening.
Okay.
Doing that.
So this. So for writing it equal 10e, 10b negative
8p plus 2p.
there's gonna be negative 16. No.
So 8p plus 2b. That would be 6, 8, 9, 10. That's -9. -9.
Oh. Negative c. Right? Yeah. 8 equals, okay, so negative.
I'm confused.
Which one are you on?
If it's 9 and 7, would that 9 be negative? Oh.
So these two go together. This is -9, you're right.
Okay.
So on a number line, you're at +7 and you're counting back 9 steps. You're going to cross 0 to -2. So since -9 has a greater absolute value, you go with its sign. It has to be negative. So on a number line, imagine you're over here. Here's 0. Here's +7. You've got to go this direction 9 steps. And so you'd end up at -2. So if I had 8b plus 2b, that's going to be 10b.
10b.
But if I have 7, +7, here's +7 over here, and I add a -9 to it, I have to go all the way to -2. So this would be 10b minus 2.
10b
Okay?
minus 2.
Okay. Thanks.
Mr. Ramsey,
Yep.
I need help on number 6.
Okay, so this has a C and this has a C. What's tricky about this one is this -C, there's nothing in front of it. So there's always a 1. Even if there's no 1 that's written there, this is -1C.
Negative
So if I have -3 plus -1, I'm going to get -4C.
C.
These two numbers go together because they don't have a variable. They don't have a letter next to them. So you can simplify, combine those like terms. 6 plus 8 is 14. So I'm going to say plus 14.
14.
And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Plus 8 and
Back to that. That's negative. So 14 b plus 8. I'm guessing. Okay.
Okay, hopefully that gave you enough time to do 7 and 8. So for like terms, I'm looking for what matches -6n. It goes with 8n because they both have an n. So -6 plus +8 is +2n. -6 plus another -6 is going to be -12.
Negative.
2n minus 12. You got that? You're on the right track. For number 8, I'm looking for a match for anything with an m. So this goes with this because they both have an m. That's why they're like terms. So -9 plus 8 is going to be -1m. Or you could just write -m. 9 plus 8. These go together because they don't have any variable next to them. 9 plus 8, of course, is 17. -1m plus 17. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit. I think there's a couple more here. What goes with this z? Well, this -4z. So 7 plus -4 is going to be 3z. 1 minus 5. So 1 plus a -5 is going to be a -4. That's number 9. Now remember what I said, if there's nothing in front of this n, it's like there's an imaginary 1 there. So
All right.
-1 plus -7 is -8n. Then 7 plus 6 is 13. And that's the simplified equation for number 10. Okay, now some of these have the distributive formula, and after you multiply from the outside inside, you're still doing what we just did in this assignment. You're still looking for like terms. Remember, a like term has to have the same variable and the same exponent. A variable is any symbol that stands for a number. So in these, it could be n is a variable, or z is a variable, or m is a variable. It's just a fancy word for something that represents a number, okay? So let's look at some of these examples. These have the distributive formula. They're a little bit more challenging. Can you guys see number 1, -3 times 3h plus 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is where you use the distributive formula that we went over, I think, last week. So I multiply from the outside inside, -3 times 3h, and then -3 times 1. So I know a negative times a positive is a negative. This is -9h. -3 times +1 is -3. That's this first part, okay? So this is where I put this right there, okay? Now I'm going to distribute the next equation. 4 times -2h. So here's a positive times a negative is -8h. So I'm going to write -8h. Then I'm going to distribute the next number. +4 times -4 is -16. Okay? Now notice your directions, it says simplify each equation. That means you have to look for like terms. So what goes with my h? This -9h goes with this -8h. We say they are like terms because they have the same variable next to them, h. So I know -9 minus 8 is going to be -17h. Okay? Then I that this -3 and this -16 go together because they don't have a variable. There's no letter next to them. So -3 and -16 are going to equal -19. So this has been simplified now because I broke down this equation over here all the way down until I didn't have any more like terms. This has an h and this doesn't, so that's as far as you can go. Okay? So this is combining the distributive formula with like terms. There's 2 skills that you got to have for these. So let's look at number 2. I'm going to multiply 6 times 6n. They're both positive. I know 6 times 6 is 36. So I'm going to write 36n because there's an n right here. Okay? And I distribute to my next number. 6 times 2 is 12. All right, plus 12. Okay? Then I'm going to distribute my next equation. 9 times -8n is a positive times a negative is a negative. So I'm going to write -72n. Then I have 9 times -1. Positive times a negative is -9. Then what's the like terms? What has an n? Well, this 36 and the 72 match. Those go together, okay? So I know 36 times 2 is 72. This is negative. This is positive. So my answer has to be negative because 72 is more than 36. Okay? These are going to combine to equal negative 36n. And then I'm going to put 12 with negative 9 because they don't have a variable. So 12 minus 9 is simply 3. So I have negative 36 plus 3. That's your answer for number 2. Okay. Let's do number 3, and then I'll let you guys try some of these on your own. We'll distribute 9 times negative x, which is really like saying 9 times negative 1, which is negative 9. So I'm writing negative 9x. Then I have 9 times negative 5. Remember, positive times a negative is negative 45. Then I distribute the next equation. 5 times x, which is like saying 5 times 1x is 5x. And then I have 5 times 7, which I know is 35. That's the first step. Now I look for matches. I look for my x's. I have a 9x here. I've got a 5x over here. These go together. So negative 9 plus 5 is going to be negative 4x. And I'm going to look at what doesn't have a variable. This negative 45 doesn't have a variable, and this 35 doesn't have a variable. So negative 45 plus 35 is negative 10. So I have negative 4x minus 10 is your simplified equation. Okay, this is the part where I'm going to leave some of these up here. And I want you guys to try just look at, let's just look at 2 of them. Look at 4 and 5. If you have any questions, just speak up. I'm right here.
Oh,
Negative 3 times. Maybe negative.
okay.
Negative 3 times positive 9. Let's look at adding. No, wait. That's 9, so it's going to be negative 6. No, it's going to be plus negative 6. It's going to be 18 plus 18 C. Stupid. 9. I'm going to go backwards. I have to go 3. C. 9 C. 8, 9. So that's a negative. That's going to be negative. Negative 1. C. 3.
Okay, hopefully that was enough time to look at 4 and 5. Let's look at number 4. We're going to distribute negative 3 times 5c. It's a negative times a positive equals negative 15c. And then distribute negative 3 times positive 9 is going to be negative 27. Then look at your next equation. 6 times 3c. These are both positive, so your answer has to be positive 18c. And then distribute 6 times negative 9. Positive times a negative is going to be negative 54. And then look for like terms. Look for anything that has a c. There's the negative 15, it has a c, and this 18 has a c. So negative 15 plus 18 is going to be 3c. Then look for what doesn't have a variable. This negative 27 doesn't, and this negative 54 doesn't. So 27 and 54 is going to equal 81, but it has to be negative 81 because this is negative and this is negative. I'm going to say minus 81. And that's the simplified equation for number 4. Here's number 5 that you guys were looking at. We have negative 2, and I'm going to distribute that to 2b. So that's going to equal negative times a positive, negative 4b. Then I have negative 2 times positive 5 is negative 10. And I look at my next equation. 3 times 7b is 21b. So I'm going to write plus 21b because it's positive. And then I'm going to distribute 3 times negative 7. Positive times a negative is negative 21. Then I look for like terms. This has a b and this has a b. So negative 4b plus 21b is going to be 17b. Positive 17b. Then negative 10 minus 21, they're both negative, so this is going to be minus 31. This has a b, this doesn't, so I can't simplify it any further than that. And that's your answer for number 5. Let's look at a few more together. So for number 6, I have 9 times 8y is 72y. Then I distribute 9 times 6 is 54. So write plus 54 because it's positive. Then I have a positive 2 times a negative 8y. So this is positive times negative is negative 16y. And I have positive 2 times positive 5 is plus 10. And then look at what goes together. Y's go together. So 72 minus 16 is going to equal 54, I think. 54y.
No.
And then I have 54 here plus 10. These are both positive, so I'm going to have 64. So I have a y over here, and there's no variable over here. So 54y plus 64 is simplified. That's as far as I can go. Let's look at number 7. I have 2 times 6q. They're both positive. That's going to equal 12q. And then I have 2 times 6 is simply 12. Then I distribute 3 times 4q is 12q again. And then I have 3 times 6 is 18. And I look for matches. So I'm going to look at my q's. I got 12q here and here. They're both positive, so it's going to equal 24q. And then I've got this 12 over here and this 18. They're both positive, so that's going to equal 30. You say 24q plus 30. This has a variable, this doesn't, so it's simplified. Can't do any more than that. All right, you guys look at number 8 and 9. I'll give you a minute, and then I'll check back with you. If you have any questions, just speak up.
Shut up.
All right, hopefully that gave you enough time to look at 8 and 9. Let's look at number 8 together and distribute that. -6 times -4p. So negative times a negative is going to equal positive 24p. And I'm going to distribute -6 times -8. Since they're both negative, this equals positive 48. Then I distribute my next equation, 9 times -4p. This is positive, this is negative. So since the signs are different, your answer is -36p. And then I have 9 times -8. Positive times a negative is -72. Then check for like terms. This has a p, and so does this -36. So if I have positive 24 minus 36, I have -12p. And then I'm going to combine this 48 to this -72 over here. So if I have 48 minus 72, my answer has to be negative, right? So if I have 72 minus 48, you're going to have -24. And that's your simplified equation for number 8. Oh, yeah, you guys were looking at number 9. Let's check that. So we have 7 times 2t is 14t. Then we have 7. I'm going to distribute that to -2. Positive times a negative is -14. Then I have 2 times -5t is going to be -10t. And then I have 2 times -1. Positive times a negative is -2. Then check for your matches. This 14 has a t, and so does this -10. These go together. So this one's negative, this one's positive, so this is going to equal 4t. And this -14 and this -2, they go together because they don't have a variable. They're both negative, so that's going to be -16. And that's your simplified answer for number 9. I think there's another one down here. Yeah, let's look at this one. This one, there's nothing to distribute. Do you see that? Because there's no number outside of the 2c. So I'm just going to rewrite that first equation. I'm just going to rewrite 2c plus 1. This one you do have to distribute. 8 times -5c. Positive times a negative is -40c. Then I have 8 times positive 2 is going to be 16. So I'm going to say plus 16. And I look for what goes together. This has a c, and this -40 has a c. So 2 plus -40 is -38 c. And then this 1 doesn't have a variable, and neither does this 16. So if I put those together, I'm going to get plus 17. And that's the answer for number 10. All right, so let me just come back to you guys and see how we're doing. You guys have any questions so far? Are we doing okay with those?
Yeah.
Let's see who all is here. I see Zakia. I see April.
Yes,
good job. Good to see you. I see Hadi, Yana. Good to see you. I see Elijah. I see who's down here. I just had something pop up down here. Go down, go down. And I see Nishan, and I see, it looks like Angelina's here. Trina's here. Good to see you, Trina. Okay, so let's look at a few more of these. I know that Tuesday, Zakia asked, can we just have some time to talk to each other? And I'm going to do that at the end of this lesson. I'm just going to give you like 10 minutes just to talk freely with each other. Just remember, guys, this is tape recorded. So it's the whole thing's videotaped. Don't say anything that you wouldn't want your grandma to hear, okay? So maintain bond, homies. Say nice things to each other. But I am going to give you some time just to chit chat at the end of this. Okay, one more of combining like terms. Let's take a look at some of these together. I'm looking at, let's see here. I'm looking at number one. It says 9 times 7 cubed. Can you guys see that okay? 9 times 7 cubed, 9 times -7. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. This one also says to simplify. So just like before, you're looking for like terms. So if I did 9 times 7, I'm going to get 63 cubed. And if I do 9 times -7, I'm going to get -63. And then I look at my next one. There's nothing to distribute here. Notice there's no number outside, so I just rewrite this equation. So I have, this is positive 5q, so I'm right, plus 5q, and this is -9, so I write -9. Then I look for like terms. This has a q, and this 5 has a q, so I'm going to combine 63 and 5 to make it 68q. This -63, it doesn't have a variable, neither does this 9, this -9. They're both negative, so your answer has to be -72. And that's your simplified equation for 1. Let's look at number 2. You have to distribute both of these. I have a 3 times 5x, which is going to be 15x. And I have a 3 times 3, which is 9. I have to distribute this 8 times 3x is going to be positive 24x. And I have this 8 times 6, which is going to be positive 48. And I look for what matches. This 15 has an x, so does this 24. So if I put those together, I'm going to get, looks like 39x. And this 9 doesn't have a variable, neither does this 48. So if I put those together, they're both positive. I'm going to get positive 57. And that's simplified. Let's look at number 3. This one's an easy one, except for those f's that don't have anything in front of them. This is just testing. Do you know that -f is the same as -1f? There's a 1 there, okay? -9. And then it has the same thing here. It has another -f. That's -1f, -9. And then just combine those. So if I have -1 and -1, I'm going to put these together, and that's going to equal -2f. And this -9 and this -9, those go together to equal -18. So that's just testing you. If you know a variable is written by itself, it counts as 1. Okay. Number 4 isn't too bad. There's nothing to multiply here. You're just combining like terms. So I have 4x plus 7 plus 9x plus 2. So the x's go together. 4 plus 9 is 13x. And numbers that don't have a variable, 7 and 2 go together, which equals 9. And that's all you have to do for that one, 13x plus 9. I want you guys to take a minute, look at number 5 and 6 on your own. If you have a question, just speak up. This one you're going to have to multiply. Over here, you don't have to. Here, you don't have to multiply. Over here, you do. Okay? Take a minute, look at those. If you have a question, let me know.
Wonderful. Hurt you. Shut up.
Fine, so it's 10. 10B. 10B. -25.
Okay, hopefully that gave you a chance to look at 5 and 6. So for number 5, I'm definitely going to multiply this outer number 5 times 2b, and that should equal 10b. And then I'm going to multiply 5 times negative 5. Positive times negative is negative 25. And then I don't have to distribute anything for this. There's no number outside the parentheses. I'm just going to rewrite it. Minus 6b and plus 5. Then look for what goes together. So this has a b and negative 6 has a b. So 10 minus 6 is 4b. And the numbers that don't have a variable is this negative 25 and this positive 5. So if I put those together, I get negative 20. And that's all you got to do for number 5. Here's number 6. Nothing to multiply here because there's no number outside parentheses. So I'm just going to rewrite 9k minus 3. This one I can distribute. 4 times 7k is 28k. So I'm going to rewrite plus 28k. And 4 times 6 is 24. So I'm going to write plus 24. I'm going to look for what goes together. This has a k and this 28 has a k. So 9 is positive, 28 is positive. So it's going to be 37k. And this negative 3 doesn't have a variable, and neither does this 24. So negative 3 plus 24 is positive 21.
Go away. Yeah.
All right, hang in there. Let's do a couple more, and I'll let you chit-chat for a minute, okay? Let's look at number 7. This a, this negative a, really means negative 1a. So this is negative 7 times negative 1a. Negative times a negative is a positive 7. Negative 7 times negative 7 is going to be positive 49. And there's nothing to distribute for the second part, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Plus 9a plus 5. Look at what goes together, the a's. So if I combine 9 and 7, I'm going to get 16a. And if I combine this 49 and this 5, because they don't have a variable, I'm going to have 54. So that's the simplified equation for number 7. Here's number 8. Nothing to multiply here. It just says negative 8z and 7. So I'm just going to rewrite that. Negative
Mr. Ramsey?
z plus 7. Nothing to multiply here because there's nothing outside the parentheses. So I'm just going to rewrite minus. Now this z doesn't have anything there, so I'm going to write minus 1z minus 8. Then I see what goes together. I've got a z here and a z here. So negative 8 plus negative 1 is negative 9. Negative 9z. And then I have 7 minus 8 is going to be negative 1. And that's your simplified answer for number 8. Here's number 9. 4 times 8v is going to be 32v. 4 times 4 is going to be 16. Nothing to distribute here, so I just rewrite it. Plus 6v plus 6. Look for your matches, your like terms. 32 has a v, 6 has a v, so that's going to be 38v. 16 goes with 6, so that's going to equal 22. So I'm going to say plus 22. And that's simplified for number 9. One more to do together. 5 times negative 6h. Positive times a negative is going to equal negative 30h. 5 distributed to negative 8 is going to be negative 40. Nothing to distribute here, so I'm just going to rewrite negative 2h plus 5. And look for like terms. Here's an h and here's an h. They're both negative. Negative 2 and negative 30 are going to become negative 32h. Then numbers that don't have a variable. Here's this negative 40. It has no letter next to it. It goes with this 5. So negative 40 plus 5 is going to be negative 35. And that's your answer for number 10. So hopefully some of these just refreshed your memory on what like terms are all about. Just helped you to remember how to simplify linear equations. And just want to take some time now to let you guys talk to each other and see how you're doing. Just remember that the lesson's being recorded. Don't say anything that you wouldn't worry about your grandma listening to. But take a minute and just visit with each other at this time.
Hello.
Yo.
Bruh.
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Get back on my back. What's up, guys? Hi, April.
Hi.
Say. What's up? Yeah, don't tell me how to say hi. Why'd you talk? He's playing Fortnite. Oh, you play Fortnite? No, get me down. Come on, get me down.
Day.
Ow.
Day.
That's what you get. You just kicked me.
Oh, you was finna curse.
Okay. Hey, recording it. See that?
Daddy,
You got me. Daddy, you talking to him. Ooh, what's up? Stop being a mess at me.
Is you gonna get on today?
She hit me in my head. You see that, Mr. Ramsey? Let's go. You better give her a butt whooping. Wait, shut up. I'm gonna keep hitting you. Stop! Danny! God!
I'm gonna go play Fortnite and leave.
Yeah, bye. You're doing my dishes.
No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I said I was helping.
Shut up.
How about you make me, okay?
I will.
I'll smash this on your head.
Do it.
Okay, it sounds like you've had enough time to chit-chat with each other.
That was
Awesome
not enough time.
there. Good to see all of you. Remember, we're going to meet again tomorrow, same time, same channel.
Stay on.
For a math lesson at 2 o'clock. Again, great to see all of you. See you tomorrow. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Don't leave, guys. Don't leave.
Buddy, wow, bro.
Don't leave.
Y'all don't leave.
Yeah. Well, something put them on World Star or something. No, he's not, but he's still recording. So. Oh, what's up, Elijah?
Is that your brother?
Yeah. Yeah, you go. Oh.
Oh, wow.
No.
Bad.
That's Craig's friend, I think.
Yeah. Sound, is that your mama name?
What'd you say?
Is that
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I cannot hear you. Let me shut this real quick.
My phone's not working with it.
Hey, what'd you say, Elijah?
Any sound on the